monosaccharide sugar. You're sweeter than...
Presentation to how fire works instead of, what is fire. But I work for the fire department, so obviously I learned a lot. I've learned a lot more before that, starting things on fire on my own. So, comes to find out later on, fire is actually just the rapid oxidization of stuff, gas, liquids, or cellulose material. The fire we actually physically see is just a chemical reaction to the rapid oxidization of things. The flame that we see is part of this chain reaction that starts with 4 things. When I grew up, I thought it was only 3 things that needed fire: oxygen, heat, and fuel. But you need that chain reaction to actually get it all involved. And what happens is it gets all these molecules with the heat as it's breaking down and oxidizing. It gets the molecules excited, gets the electrons moving, and as they decompose and change forms, you see an actual flame, and it's radiation that's emitting the heat that you actually feel. So it's kind of funny that it's a chain reaction. To me, anyways. I think it might be going a little too fast. So, as a firefighter, we need to learn how to stop it. So we have 4 basic elements of the fire. It could be started by friction, creates the heat. If we don't have that initial boost, we will never have fire. So we have the friction. We can also have it started by other fire. And I just kind of put this together. So again, being a fireman, we wing a lot of things. It's really, I like to say there's a lot of preparation and a lot of training, and there is, but for the most part, we really wing a lot of things. So, other fire, also, I think the scientist's favorite is probably the actual chemical reaction that creates the initial heat to get things moving. So how can we go back?
You swipe it, it's all good.
Okay. In order to stop them, you have to eliminate any one of those. Go 2 more, please. Any one of those 4. So my favorite one is to stop the chain reaction. You can use magic. Actually, no, you use chemistry, and that's how our fire extinguishers work. We use a chemical, that's what they're called, dry chemical fire extinguishers, to actually break that chain reaction. So the chemical actually, the powder that you see that comes out of the extinguishers, interrupts it. It just completely stops it. So a lot of people say, it's magic, but it's not. Oxygen, you can smother it, take a grease pen. Women are really good at this. They're cooking, something happens, they take the lid and they cover it. A guy comes up and is like, put water on it, makes it worse, right? So the women will do, they're good at that. You can smother it by isolating the oxygen. You can also...
Why does the water make it worse?
On a grease fire, what happens is the grease, let me talk about it real quick. Water boils at 212 degrees. The grease actually gets hotter than that before it starts to evaporate. So when you add water to it, it spontaneously evaporates. So when it evaporates, it splatters and pushes what was contained here into everywhere else and makes a little fire bigger by giving it more surface area to burn. So you make it worse. So one more. There we go. So we could do that. We could remove the best thing for us to do put out fires was to add water. And you see one of my friends here with a garden hose trying to do our job. Fire creates heat. Heat's measured in BTUs. Water absorption is the best thing. The easiest, most, not the safest way, depending on your type of fire, but it's the best way to put out the fire. Its ability to absorb the heat it creates, is why we use it. I'm having a brain loss here. That was one of the other things. You needed the heat. If you don't have that constant heat to continue that chain reaction, you're not going to have a fire. So with the water, you're applying the water on it, it cools the whole chain reaction down enough to a point where it cannot continue to burn. So that's, and I think that's all of my deals. But I can answer a lot of questions if you guys have them. I'm pretty short on my time. Go ahead.
Does water
do you guys use that more for cooling, or is it to take the oxygen out, or both?
No, it's actually just the cooling effect that puts the fire out. Water expands a bunch, 1,700 times as it absorbs the heat. So its ability to expand and to change that much is why it cools so good. One gallon of water is 8 pounds, and it absorbs somewhere on the neighborhood of I want to say 19,000 BTUs, which is 1 gallon, 8.5 pounds of water. So that's why it takes one BTU to raise that water 1 degree Fahrenheit, and if you do the math backwards, that's how we do it. The smaller the droplets, the more heat it absorbs. So we can also, we go into a fire, we shoot and we break up the hose stream, the fire stream. We call it fire stream, but it's actually a water stream. We break it up into smaller droplets so it absorbs more heat. Yeah.
So if the water were already boiling and you're putting on it, it wouldn't do a very good job, is what you're saying.
That's a good question. I want to say it does, because from boiling, in order to boil to completely convert a gallon of water that's already boiling into steam, you still have to add so many more BTUs. So it still has that ability to absorb the heat. So it would
But
work.
maybe not quite as effective.
I'm sure there's a mathematical grade on it where it wouldn't work as good. Yeah, but you could throw a chunk of ice on it and it probably wouldn't work either, because it doesn't break up and it doesn't have that surface area, smaller surface area or larger surface area by smaller droplets to absorb more heat. So I don't know if you throw cold water if it worked better. Do we have any other questions?
Okay, go ahead.
I thought
In your job, what's the best thing about your job, and what's the worst thing that you like to do?
You talk to me personally, the best thing is actually helping people, and it sounds cliche, don't get me wrong, but it's, we do a lot of talks to kids, and those are the best way we help, trying to teach. We're the only actual profession that tries harder to put themselves out of work. So we spend a lot of time talking to kids, talking to people. I wish we had more time talking to adults. Obviously, if we had better presentations, it might make it a little more interesting. But that's the best part of it. The worst part for me is sometimes not having work to do. We sit around a lot sometimes. We do a lot of reading, a lot of training. But if you don't have the work to keep you motivated, it's hard for us to stay motivated.
Before going into firefighting, did you ever imagine that there was going to be that much science?
No, I thought you just put the wet stuff on the red stuff and it'd go out. But there's a lot more to it. You were talking about cooling and smothering. If we add soap to the water, it creates a foam, and you can actually smother the fire. We use that on liquid fires. And what it does is it lays a foam blanket across the top. The water droplets go down, and it does both. It cools the liquid below the burning point, and it smothers by creating this foam on top of it, which is composed of water and air, and it separates the oxygen from the actual fuel itself. So there's a lot to it.
Is that what you had to do over here when Warritos went up? Because I've heard that it's extremely hard to put out tires once they start.
When tires start decomposing, they create flammable gas. Everything, actually, what you burn is the gas of anything that's burning. Even metals. But they create methane and all kinds of other stuff. We didn't use it here because the amount of fuel load that it would take to actually be more effective with foam, we didn't have that on hand. We have trucks and we have some foam on it, but not to that size. It would have been more of a waste, and then would have still continued to fight the fire the way we were doing it, and we would have been 75 to 100 gallons of foam out and not be as effective anyway. So we just continued to cool it. I don't know if anybody noticed or saw the videos. What we did there, we let the fire burn. We just cooled the surrounding areas so that nothing else would burn through it. We can burn, things will burn through radiation, convection, and just the heat radiating to the other buildings would have caught the other buildings on fire. So we used the cooling effect to prevent them from burning. You know, some of the guys, one of my teachers once said, you know, wet stuff, cool metal, wet metal's cool metal will never burn. So that's kind of what we did. We cooled the rooftop off of it. The roof never burned through, and isolated the fire inside of it, and just until all the fuel was gone. Eventually, we always put the fire out. Any other questions?
Do different fire departments have different philosophies on the way they address fires?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, like with police departments, they kind of have different ways they address the policing issues. So do different fire departments have those different kind of philosophies, or is it pretty standard no matter where you go?
No, the general idea is the same, but you know, I mean, but we have the East Coast and the West Coast. We're right in the middle. We're very fortunate. You go from Wichita that way, they're very easty. You know, you go this way, and it's different. We use fog nozzles, which what they do is they break up the water stream into smaller droplets, kind of like a spray pattern on your hose, garden hose. The East Coast, they use smooth bores because you can deliver much more water through a smooth bore. They have different methods to breaking it up and stuff. So as far as the actual attack on the fire, there's different methods, and we've used both. We're kind of lucky, you know. We get a lot of training. We're very fortunate. If you guys don't know the amount of training that our fire department spends on us, and we've gone to several different areas and a lot of classes, and we get a lot of ideas, and then depending on the fire, we implement them that way. So, did you have a question?
No, I was just wondering, back to the buckets, the tires, wasn't that really toxic?
Yeah,
Did you have to rope off an area of people not coming in?
we had to rope off and actually evacuate some of the people that were downwind from. Yeah, so they don't breathe it. A lot of the times it's better to shelter in place, you know, but depending on the amount of smoke and stuff and the type of smoke, you want to isolate or separate.
But maybe it's worth it.
Yeah. Could you have a question?
So firehouses are notoriously well known for the food they produce. How's your fire?
It depends on the day you show up.
What's the
Yeah.
best meal that somebody makes there?
The best meal. We made chili the other day. It was really good, but I can't say that's the best meal. I would have to say probably pulled pork. Sometimes on the weekends we have a little extra time in the morning, so we'll set something up and then let it cook throughout the day and stuff.
I've seen a video online where their students came up with a way of attacking the fire using sound.
Sound?
Yeah. Like use like the bass decibels to cut the oxygen away from the fire, and it just.
I think what it does, I saw a little bit of it. I'm not really sure the science behind it, so I can't really tell you. But I think it's the shock wave of the bass that actually just pushes and moves everything away. I know, I don't know who's old enough to know the Hellfighters or some John Wayne movie.
Iraq? Oh no.
The John Wayne movie, the Hellfighters or something like that. And they used to put out well fires out. What they did is they used dynamite. And what they did is they used the dynamite to use the shock to completely blow it out of the way. Now you just had the gases blowing, and then you could actually get close enough to work. It still created a dangerous atmosphere, but you know, firefighting's inherently
Like in Kuwait.
Yeah,
What they
Kuwait.
have to do.
Yeah, them guys came up and showed the rest of the world how to put out fires.
Well, okay, one more
You
question.
guys thought about putting out a calendar?
Recipe.
Oh,
Recipes, calendar with recipes. I'll put that in the back burner. We have actually, the state has, we have a firefighters museum, if you guys aren't aware of, in Wichita. If you guys ever go through Wichita, it's one of the old, Station 2, I think, one of the old fire stations. They turned it into a museum, small little place. I haven't personally been there, but I heard it's great. So anyhow, this is back to the calendar. They make a shoot of Kansas firefighters, and we have had 2 for the past 3 years, I think, from Garden City. So
well, we had friends from Wichita, a couple of girls get stuck in the elevator and got rescued from some firemen. They were wanting to get stuck again.
yeah, must have been some of your son's friends that were in there.
Well, if you guys want to help me say thank you to Jose, and before you guys go, here's a pin for you guys. And the pin says Nerd Talk. Thank you guys.
Okay, one thing. I don't know if you guys know this. We have a regular work day from 8 to 5, but after 5 o'clock, or even before that, if you guys ever want to know anything about how we do or what we do, just go to Fire Station 1 or Fire Station 2 on Mary Street. The guys or me or anybody, we're more than welcome to actually give you guys more knowledge. And again, I'm really bad at talking in front of people, but on a one-on-one, we're a little better, and we can